Hey everybody, I'm Bill. I'm the salty old Marine. So, have you ever had anybody drop a dime on you, as we used to say, to the VA? Ever had a neighbor, a coworker, or the guy at the bar say, I'm going to call the VA on you because they think that the compensation you receive is somehow not fair? What really happens? Does the VA show up at your door? Do you lose your rating? Do you go to jail? Let's talk about that. By the way, the answer is no. Now, before we get started, please take a moment. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and press that subscribe button. Well, it's going to help the channel. We get the word out to more veterans, and it might help you as well because you'll get notifications when new videos drop. So thanks very much for that. So let's talk about it. Why is this fear so common? A lot of veterans worry that if somebody reports them, the VA will assume wrongdoing. That's why a lot of veterans tell each other, don't talk about your rating. Don't let anybody know. Well, there's a lot of reasons why it's a good idea not to share your rating. I'm not disputing that. But what if somebody finds out and somebody is jealous or somebody is angry or somebody thinks you're somehow ripping off the system? They think, hey, this person's faking it. This veteran is lying. This veteran's committing fraud. So let's take a look at that. A concerned citizen. Concerned citizen. That's a great term, isn't it? They can call or submit a tip to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, Office of Inspector General, the VA OIG, or their local fraud unit. That tip alone does not trigger immediate action against the veteran's benefits. Investigations require evidence. You know, in the Marine Corps, we used to call those people alligators because they made allegations. I don't know if that's still the case. From the OIG semi-annual report from the period of April 1st to September 30th of 2023, which is the most recent report data that we have, the VA OIG hotline received more than 18,000 contacts. 18,000. So 18,000 people decided to call the VA and report something. Out of those 18,000, okay, get ready for this. Out of those 18,000, the OIG opened 230, that's 230, investigations, and they closed 190. So do veterans have anything to fear? Well, of course, don't commit fraud, don't lie, don't exaggerate, don't cheat the system. And you should not have anything whatsoever to fear. If your rating is valid and your evidence supports it, your risk of being targeted is extremely small. Most investigations target clear fraud, false statements, and forged records, not typical service-connected disability claims. For example, in a recent investigation, 10 individuals were indicted for defrauding the VA of disability benefits, and we've heard about a lot of them on the news recently. The program is managed on what's essentially an honor system for legitimate claimants. A report doesn't automatically trigger a rating reduction. If the VA does consider re-examination or reduction, you have due process rights under the 38 CFR if the condition is static or unchanging. How would you know if something is happening? If the VA, OIG, or the VBA, the Veterans Benefits Administration, were to open an inquiry that affects your rating, you would receive a notification in the form of a letter. They don't just silently cut your benefits. They might request additional documentation, medical exam, or an interview, or all of those things. You should ensure your contact information is current with the VA. Don't just disappear off the map. Respond to any notices that you might get promptly, and possibly consult a VSO or an attorney if you feel that something's amiss. Now let's talk about some real numbers and put it in perspective. The OIG estimated that of 31,900 claims completed in 2022, which had at least one public disability benefits questionnaire, about 22,000 or 69% of them had one or more fraud risk indicators. What does that mean? There's so much fraud. Oh my God, everybody freak out. No, what they're saying is that when a DBQ is received, depending on how it's filled out, it might trigger a fraud indicator. That does not mean there is fraud. Let me give you an example. If you go to the bank and you deposit $5,000, that might trigger the alert system that potential fraud is happening. Is it? No, but you've passed through a gateway that caused that trigger to go off. Don't freak out about that. Fraud risk indicator does not mean fraud found. It means there were signs that require further review. Same thing as when you deposit a large amount of money in your bank account. For fiscal year 2016, the U.S. Government Accountability Office reported that the VA's improper payment estimate was about $5.5 billion. Compare that to the total compensation program for 2018, which is 680,000 veterans rated 100% P&T. So the takeaway here is that although possible misconduct exists, the likelihood of a regular veteran with a sound claim being picked off by a tip is extremely low. If you've built your claim honestly and you've responded to VA requests, you have nothing to fear, simply because somebody reported you. Best practices: keep accurate documentation, treat your condition honestly, respond to re-exams if they are requested or required, stay in communication with your VSO if you work with a VSO. And if you ever receive a letter from the VA or the OIG about an inquiry, don't panic. Open the letter, read what they're asking, respond. If you need help, go get it. The bottom line is this: anybody can drop a dime. Anybody can be an alligator. They can pick up the phone and they can call the VA and they can say, the salty old Marine is ripping off the system and I want something done about it. Well, chances are extremely high that nothing's going to be done about it because there's nothing to do. Remember what I said about all those numbers. We're talking about 300 or so per year out of how many claims? It's a drop in the ocean, and it's really reserved for those who are definitely doing something they shouldn't be doing, or they've done something that looks like something they shouldn't be doing. I hope you found this useful. I hope it put your mind at ease. I'm Bill. I am the salty old Marine. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. And as always, have a great day.